On the road to MotoGP, this is FAB-Racing.
And the drivers, the riders are now ready for our very next race. They're getting ready in the pits, of course, crowded out. There's quite a helmet livery there with the checkered flag already on your helmet. It still needs to take the flag though. This is going to be the LC40 Elite race, the second race that they will be having this weekend, and they're coming out onto the grid in a big mix of rider sizes here, Lewis, on this one.
Yeah, there certainly is. This is the highest class of Minimoto racing in the UK. This is the final stage of their Minimoto racing before they usually go up onto gear bikes such as the Metric machines. So these riders, it's the last stepping stone, the last chance to prove themselves on these smaller motorcycles, and some of them even competing in both the geared Metric bikes and the LC40 Elites at the same time.
Yeah, and I see Taylor Tomlinson here in second place as well, making his second appearance after winning his first race on our broadcast today.
Yeah, Taylor Tomlinson racing in both the AC40 Pro class and the LC40 Elites. Quite a lot of these riders actually will be doing that, because here at Fab, you're able to race your AC40 Pro bike, your air-cooled bike, in the liquid-cooled class. But, as you can see on pole position, Byron Johnson, he looked so strong last year, and Taylor Tomlinson lines up alongside him. Now, what can Taylor Tomlinson do? Start from second position in just his first year in the LC40 Elite class.
Absolutely amazing. But if his first race earlier was anything to go by, I'm sure he'll be competitive. He was very quick away from the start as well.
Yeah, he certainly was. So Byron Johnson will start on pole position with a 57.346 with Taylor Tomlinson alongside him. Ollie Sims will also be racing in the MiniGP 70 class this weekend, starts in third with Sam Gardner alongside him. Lewis Hull, one of our taller riders here in the LC40 Elite class, starts in fifth with Rex Austin rounding out the third row of the grid. Bradley Curtis will start in 7th with Harrison Day also racing in the Elite class. He will start in 8th. Sebastian Gazowski in 9th with Nicholas Dunwoody alongside him. Matthew Thomas on the bright green bike will start in 11th with Oliver Hall continuing to race in this class in 12th. Liam Lindquist will start in 13th, Josh Perkins 14th, and Callum Maxwell rounds off our 15 bike grid here in the LC40 Elite class.
And what are we expecting then, Lewis, from these riders? It's only a 9-lap race once again.
Yeah, it's only a 9-lap race. Faster Minimoto. Final checks being done actually with Byron Johnson. But what can we expect? We can expect fast and furious racing. We don't really know what's going to happen. Byron Johnson, he's always been at the forefront. Last year he battled with his brother Austin Johnson, but Austin's not here this year. So what can he do? Will we see a Johnson once again at the top in the LC40 Elite class? We're not going to have to wait long to find out. Everyone waits on the grid. The final checks are being done. The point to the light is made. The lights go on and the lights go off, and what a fast start that was. Taylor Thompson gets the lead, and it looked like Byron Johnson was just started sleeping there on the start, but straight away Ollie Sims into third position with Lewis Hull trying to find his way around the outside heading into chicane. Can he make it work? Yes, he can. Lewis Hull in third position with Sam Gardner in that 5th place, and Bradley Curtis having a battle further back down the field with, I believe, Matthew Thomas. So it's so great to see these riders all coming through. Harrison Day further down the field having a battle with the number 30, Josh Perkins. So already all riders through. Clean start so far today. Hopefully they don't curse that. But Lewis Hull trying to look down the outside of Taylor Thompson. Can he make it work? Going into the infield. Yes, he can. Puts his front leg all the way in front of his bike to stop him and almost defend.
Absolutely, and this is the battle then. We can see a very, very different rider size for P4 and P5, Sam Gardner and Lewis Hull as they come through. But Byron Johnson has just taken the lead. Have we just seen an issue there potentially for Taylor Tomlinson, who's been slipped down to 3rd position? Lewis Hull in 2nd now.
Yeah, Taylor Tomlinson slipping down to that 3rd position, but Byron Johnson leading the way after a bad start. But there's Oliver Hall pulling into the pits. I was speaking to his dad actually, and he was saying that they were having issues with the engine mount on the motorcycle, and whenever he was riding, the engine was actually moving inside the frame, which was not good at all. So Oliver Hall slightly further down the field than where we would like, and continuing to have mechanical issues. So hopefully they can get that sorted for race 3 later on today. Of course, this is a double
here at the lead. 1/10 of a second between the two leaders. Byron Johnson from Lewis Hull. Taylor Tomlinson slipping back slightly now over by 0.6 of a second, but it's very tight at the top, Lewis.
Yeah, very, very tight. Lewis Hull, fastest lap of the race, a 57.9. Will anyone beat it this time around? Taylor Tomlinson will, a 56.1. The top 4 riders are in the 56-second bracket, so there's nothing between them, and this is what we really like to see from Minimoto racing. Young riders starting the racing careers on Minimotos and then being able to have these titanic battles.
Absolutely, it's the mouth-watering prospect of the remainder of this race to come. 7 laps to go then. Massively wide line there from Lewis Hull, just looking for that slingshot out of the corner there, Lewis, perhaps, or actually just trying to unseat just disturb the lead rider.
Yeah, you can take multiple different lines on these bikes. Maybe just try to take a wider sleeping line, because he may think that Byron Johnson is just blocking his drive a little bit, blocking the mid-corner where he thinks he is fastest, because of course Lewis Hull, he's a bigger rider, so down the straight he might struggle just a little bit. You might see Byron Johnson just gain a little bit on him, but Lewis Hull giving it everything through the corners. It's something we've seen so much last year. It's just how hard he pushes. You see the bike chattering away consistently, and yeah, you can hear the wind. The wind on these small riders, on these small bikes, will be affecting them so much. Every single lap they'll be approaching corners differently, so we'll have to wait and see it. There's a couple of riders there down.
Yeah, that's some of our podium contenders down, as you say, pushing very, very hard indeed. Straight back up on their feet, trying to get the bikes going again. We have got, is that Lewis Hull? I think we've got himself back running again, but a yellow flag there in this section of the racetrack.
Yeah, Taylor Thompson, frustration from him ahead of the fuel tank. He tried to get the bike started. He's just checking that Taylor is okay and he wants to continue in this race. We're going to have to wait and see what happens, but straight away he was back on his feet, and Lewis Hull, he's already away and managed to get the bike restarted and get going again. But here's a battle further down the field, but they'll gain 2 positions this lap. I believe that is Matthew Thomas leading the way from Sam Gardner. Now Sam Gardner will also race in the Mini GP50s, which we have coming up later on today. So the riders now battling for the final podium positions, as Ollie Sims is in second place and Matthew Thomas in third.
Yeah, absolutely. Just slipping down then, of course, on that previous lap, Taylor Tomlinson and Lewis Hull, after battling strongly at the start. Byron Johnson thinking his Christmases and birthdays have come all at once with that accident behind him. Gives him a much easier ride into the final 5 laps. 4-second gap he's got now at the front.
Yeah, Harrison Day now coming for your picture, coming for the back end of the circuit and pushing hard, trying to get any sort of slipstream, but Harrison Day trying to push and trying to catch Rex Austin for that 7th position in the LC40 Elite class. But there, coming through the infield section, is Liam Lindquist leading the way for 9th position ahead of Nicholas Dunwoody and Josh Perkins, who we've seen had that crash earlier on today, but he's back racing, and there we go. It looks like a move has been made, but can't stick, no he couldn't. So there we have Liam Lindquist still managing to hold on to that 9th position ahead of Nicholas Dunwoody.
It looks like a matter of time though before one of them is going to cede on this one, as we've got Liam Lindquist right on the inside, riding to the middle of the racetrack here, just trying to block the advances of Nicholas Dunwoody behind.
Yeah, he's just trying to block it going into that chicane, because it's so easy to defend. It's so difficult to make a pass through that chicane. But Josh Perkins now making the move on Nicholas Dunwoody, and what a move it was through the long sweeping right-hander. Now through the fast section circuit, flip round to the left. On these Minimotos, it's a lot easier to get the bike flipped over than what it is on the likes of the pit bikes sector. So 4 laps to go in this race. What is going to happen? Josh Perkins now runs a bit wide. Will it let Nicholas Dunwoody through? Yes, it will. So Josh Perkins, he'll learn from that mistake. Maybe just a little bit of the wind coming into play.
It could be tailwind possibly going into the infield section there. Absolutely. This is, just to remind you, this is the battle for Liam Lindquist for 9th place. Nicholas Dunwoody and Josh Perkins on screen at the moment. Byron Johnson continues to lead this race by 5.5 seconds from Ollie Sims and Matthew Thomas. Bradley Curtis, Sebastian Gazlowski and Rex Austin, with Harrison Day in 8th ahead of this battle currently.
Yeah, he certainly is, but Byron Johnson leads the way in this race from Ollie Sims, who's a 5.5 second gap does Byron Johnson. So what can Ollie Sims do? Ollie Sims, of course, racing in the LC40 Elite class, he's used to the geared Michigan motorcycles, so it's slightly different to him, but you can just see the blue smoke coming out of the two-stroke Minimotos. These bikes, of course, have both the fuel and the oil mixed into the fuel tank to lubricate the engine. But Ollie Sims now having to defend from Matthew Thomas, as Matthew Thomas has that gap down to just 1/10 of a second.
Fantastic. So a real battle for the podium now. This is the second and third place riders. Car 47, Matthew Thomas, excuse me, with Sam Gardner just behind him now. That's the real close battle going on.
Yeah, Matthew Thomas now ahead of Ollie Sims for that second position. Just waiting for it to get updated on our time screens, but what a great overtake that was there for Matthew Thomas. It shows his confidence. You see that last year he's able just to push and push and push, find the limit, and then rein it back in a little bit, and now look at him in the podium positions. But there is our race leader headed on to the final lap of the race. Byron Johnson showing his pace once again, and once again, so Johnson at the front as we see him pull a little wheelie.
Yeah, a little bit of hubris there possibly. We need to be very careful not to celebrate too early, but he's feeling very comfortable on the bike, of course. 7.5 seconds his gap at the head of the field, and this is his final lap.
Yeah, the final lap of the race. Byron Johnson in a personal best lap of the race, so he still is clearly pushing on. Tomlinson, what a shame it was, he is in 12th position at the moment, while Lewis Hull has retired from this race, I believe. So Lewis Hull maybe something slightly bent on his bike, but all eyes are on the front. All eyes are on Byron Johnson, who comes through the infield section on the number 37 on the Johnson machine. It's something we're used to seeing in the LC40 Elite class. A Johnson at the front. Byron Johnson, one more corner to go. The long sweeping right, you'll see the checker flag. It'll be waving in the air. It'll be celebrations in the Johnson house. Byron Johnson wheelies across the line and wins the LC40 Elite class. So what a race win that was. Matthew Thomas, the will he hold on? Yes, he will. And look at that gap he now has. Actually, where is Ollie Sims? Ollie Sims is missing at the moment, yeah. So maybe an issue on that final lap. So Sam Gardner takes the final position on that podium.
Wow, fantastic. Fantastic for Sam. That'll be a very pleasant surprise to pick up that podium very, very late into the final lap. But Byron Johnson just on his parade lap here, coming in very, very happy indeed just to complete those top results. It's Bradley Curtis in 4th, Rex Austin in 5th, Harrison Davis in 6th, Sebastian Kozlowski in 7th, Nicholas Dunwoody, Liam Lindquist and Josh Perkins finished inside the top 10 in that order, with Ollie Sims all the way down to 11th, Lewis.
Yeah, Ollie Sims all the way down to 11th on that final lap. So clearly an issue. You've seen Callum Maxwell come through to take the line, the final rider across the line in 13th position. But there's your race leader. There's Byron Johnson, clearly happy, clearly celebrating, and he made it look easy with 8.1 second race lead. So great result from him. Yep,
we're going to have the race graphic coming for you very shortly, and there was a hint of a little wheelie going on on the way into the pits. I'm not quite sure that the marshals will be pleased to see that. The pit lane is a slow lane.
But there is your race result. Byron Johnson takes the race win by 8.2 seconds, with Matthew Thomas in second. Sam Gardner finishes in third position, with Bradley Curtis in fourth. Rex Austin rounds out our top 5, with Harrison Day just behind in sixth. Sebastian Gosowski also moving up to the LC40 Elite class this year in 64, finishes in seventh, with Nicholas Dunwoody in eighth, Liam Lindquist in ninth, and Josh Perkins rounding out our top 10. So you can see there Henry McCartney discussing what happened there in that race with their fellow riders. So yeah, what a great race that was from the LC40 Elite class.
Fantastic stuff, a great display once again. Some very, very accurate riding as well. It was very few incidents going on. These guys were really, really pushing hard and pushing each other to a new level.
Yeah, so you can see there talks going on with Ollie Sims bikes actually to see what's happened there. But of course, still loads of races to come here at FAB. We still have about 15 races left today, and it's going to be great. Conditions are lovely. Next up will be race 3 of the LC40 Elite class. The highest class of Minimoto racing here in the UK. You can see Sarah Harris and Luca Allen making their way out to the grid to help these riders. So these riders on the fastest Minimotos you can get your hands on at the moment. They are very, very quick, and they're very talented riders on it, and it's quite a big field here in the LC40 Elite class. 15 riders, which, especially compared to last season, has risen quite a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. We saw a fantastic qualifying by Byron Johnson and by Taylor Tomlinson to take out the front row. The earlier race didn't quite go to plan for Taylor Tomlinson, so be very pleased about the current rule set here, where qualifying stands for all your race starts. So that works out very well for bike 77 there on the right hand of your screen, and just coming into position is bike 37. Looks like a 32, but 37 for Byron Johnson for yet another ride.
So now we await on the grid. Taylor Thompson looks very, very strong. He looks like he is the man to beat in the future, but right now in the LC40 Elite class, the man to beat is Byron Johnson. He was incredibly strong, but of course it's not all about the men here at FAB. We have plenty of female riders racing in the class, and they're going very, very strong. And of course Bradley Curtis, his sister, is also racing this weekend here at FAB, Lucy Curtis. So now the riders are away out on their warm-up lap for race 3.
And here is your grid then to start the race. We've already talked about Byron Johnson and Taylor Tomlinson on the front row. And next comes Ollie Sims and Sam Gardner on row 2. On row 3, Lewis Hull and Rex Austin with Bradley Curtis. Lewis just mentioned him, starting in 7th position. Harrison Day next to him. And then we've got Sebastian Kozlowski, Nicholas Dunwoody on row 5. P11 is Matthew Thomas, and P12 Oliver Hall. And then row 7, Liam Lindquist, Josh Perkins, and at the back, Callum Maxwell. They'll be back round for us before we know it, Lewis. We're underway for yet another race.
Yeah, yet another race, and their final race of round 1. The LC40 Elite class is incredibly strong this year. Of course, both air and liquid cooled bikes on the grid. So 2 different types of motorcycles, but still in one class and producing some great racing, as we see the riders now coming onto the grid. Some weaving, trying to get the final little bit of temperature in their tyres that they can possibly get. But marshals, helpers and officials are waiting for the start of this race.
Great stop there from Byron Johnson. He's obviously excited to be racing again today, and looking forward to this one. Of course, the fastest time in qualifying was actually some half a second faster than Taylor Tomlinson. So whether that translates here, and whether Taylor can actually pick up the pace a little bit on these bikes, remains to be seen over the course of the next 9 laps.
Yeah, 9 laps to go in this race. We await for the final checks to be done before we can get underway. The officials are waiting for the green light to go before the red light will come on, but I believe we're waiting for a rider at the moment to make their way onto the grid before we can get started. And until then, the riders will have more nerves entering their body and will continue to warm up these air and liquid cooled Minimoto motorcycles.
So what does this weight feel like, Lewis, underneath the rider?
Yeah, I've raced them in the Moto once, and it's very, very tricky. Of course, I was taller than these guys, but like Lewis Hull will have to do with a lack of straight line speed, he'll really have to push, and maybe some points in the circuit he might feel a little bit awkward while sitting on the bike, but he has to put it to the back of their mind. Everyone does, as the lights are on. And the lights are off and we go racing, and Byron Johnson gets the whole shot off the line and gets a good initial start, and it looks like he'll lead the way. Sam Gardner positions himself in 3rd position, and in 2nd position it's Taylor Tomlinson. Ollie Sims drops all the way back down to about 5th position after a bad start from him. Bradley Curtis in 6th at the moment, but Byron Johnson leads the way on the number 37. He's trying to do what Johnson's doing, that is win the LC40 Elite Championship, and so far this weekend he's went a good way about it. But of course, it's FAB-Racing, anything can happen, as we just seen there, almost hitting into the back of Sam Gardner. Sam Gardner, a slightly different colour scheme this year on his motorcycle. Has a white front plate on his bike. There he is there, and there is Lewis Hull trying to find a way into the infield. These riders slightly taller than what we've seen previously in the rookies and the pro class.
Certainly Lewis Hull is, yeah. Down the inside into the S's before the final corner. What a beautiful move from Lewis Hull. Great stuff.
Yeah, it was a great move there. Out the final corner they come now, and to tick off the first lap. 9 laps this race, 8 laps to go. Byron Johnson, look at him go, but this time around Taylor Tomlinson is not letting them go at all.
Absolutely no. Taylor Tomlinson really dialed in now, and tucked up, catching a little bit of slipstream behind Byron Johnson, and maybe at the moment quite content to sit behind him and bring both cars forward away from the group. But if Lewis Hull and setting the fastest lap on the previous lap of 59.7 is anything to go by, I think they'll be joined by him very shortly.
Yeah, I think he will be, and now we can just see the riders pushing on. And before they come into the infield section, now it's infield section, it's really the part that can separate riders, if you think about it, because it's such fast and flowing corners, and then you go in such tight, twisty, slow hairpins. It's almost like driving the car in the motorway, then going into a small 20-mile-an-hour road. You have to completely change up your mindset. But there is Byron Johnson leading the way, takes off another lap, 7 laps to go. Now the real question is, can Taylor Tomlinson keep up this pace, because they're doing mid-56s, which is very, very quick for the elite class.
Absolutely. Another fastest lap from Lewis Hull though as well, in a little bit of clear air now into that third position, and starting to reel in the riders in front, but only by about a tenth of a second, if that, as Byron Johnson is now starting to turn the wick up a little bit and stretch his legs.
Yeah, stretch his legs, he will do. But coming around the final coming into the final section now of the course, 7 laps to go in this race. Lewis Hull, as we mentioned, slightly taller than some of the other riders. Ollie Sims, also quite a tall rider. He's raced in the Metrokit bikes. Now he's racing in the LC40 Elites as well as the Metrokits. He's such a quick and strong rider that seems to be overall and greatly balanced. But there's Matthew Thomas actually looking at the back of Curtis. Can he find a way past? It looks like not yet. Now this season, Matthew Thomas returns, number 47 this year, on the bright green bike. He's very, very easy to spot. Harrison Day currently in 8th place and defending from Sebastian Gieselski, who moves up from the rookie class after having a great last season.
The race going very well so far for the entire field, in fact. But Byron Johnson just set a new fast lap, so he definitely is getting quicker. A 55.894 and a move down inside there from... remind me, sorry, Lewis, the green...
Ollie Sims.
Green leathers. It's Ollie Sims, fantastic stuff. Really good move on was that Sam Gardner?
Yes.
He just got fantastic.
But Sam Gardner there, he's really pushing on, and Sam Gardner on the inside line there. Sam Gardner a bit too tight there, and there's Matthew Thomas taking up the inside, and Matthew Thomas setting his eyes on Ollie Sims. You can just see the height difference actually. It's almost like a step down every single time, but Ollie Sims leading the way of this pack anyway for 4th position. The final positions are off the podium. Can they catch up to Lewis Hull? We're going to have to wait and find out. The riders in front are just a tiny bit faster, but Matthew Thomas finding a way through Ollie Sims and making it into 4th position. Does Matthew Thomas secretly have the pace in his back pocket?
It remains to be seen. We've got 5 laps to go. Another new fastest lap, another 0.2 of a second faster from Byron Johnson at 55.6 this time. And it looks like Lewis Hull has not quite got the pace to pull on here. But it's Taylor Tomlinson coming up to overtake. Is that... It's getting through. It's Taylor Tomlinson defending from Lewis Hull at this stage. So Lewis Hull has really reeled him in something incredibly quickly there, and he's now really having to be very wary behind him as Lewis Hull looms large, both figuratively and literally. On the back of Taylor Tomlinson. Here he comes towards the outside then, Lewis.
Yeah, it looks like Lewis Hull wants to make a move and wants to make a move fast. Last time around, 0.003 of a second was the difference between these two riders' lap times. There's barely nothing in it, but clearly Lewis Hull has had some good consecutive and consistent lap times to be able to catch up. Look at that different line he's taken. That's just because he's such a taller rider. He has to try something different to keep that corner speed, because he's lacking speed in a straight line with that added weight and height. But looking down the inside, he goes, and the big crash there from Lewis Hull. He straight away on his feet picks it up and tries to get the bike restarted. 4 laps to go in this race. He's got it restarted, he's rejoining the track. So what can he do now? What can Lewis Hull do now? Can he catch up?
Oh, fantastic recovery from Lewis, but that is down the order then. It's Byron Johnson from Taylor Tomlinson in the order at the moment, but of course Lewis Hill slipped behind that four-way battle now that is now a battle for the podium. Matthew Thomas, Ollie Sims, Bradley Curtis, Sam Gardner, and then Lewis Hill back up to race speed, and once again, and a personal best there for Brad Curtis.
Yeah, Lewis Hull dropping down to 7th position after that fall. It just looked like he was braking slightly too hard. As soon as he went to tip in, the front wheel almost locked and just threw him right on the ground. But Lewis Hull, 7th position, he can still score some points. And actually, we're looking at his battle right now between Ollie Sims and Bradley Curtis. And just behind this lot will be Sam Gardner, I believe, and just behind them will be Lewis Hull, who's just fell. So Ollie Sims right now has caught up to the back of Matthew Thomas, who looked up the pace just a couple laps ago, but maybe with the extra heat that we're having might just be getting a bit tired towards the end of the day.
It could be, and certainly it doesn't seem to be affecting Taylor Tomlinson, who's been a very, very busy rider so far today. He's in 2nd place, but is that a pass for position down into turn 1 and 2? Fantastic stuff there, brilliant stuff from Brad Curtis in the bright yellow leathers. Tremendous stuff from him as he now moves his way up towards the 4th place, Ollie Sims. He'll be paying him a lot of attention. 2 laps to go now, Lewis.
Yeah, now Ollie Sims might start thinking about defending from Sam Gardner, and just behind Sam Gardner, there he is, Lewis Hull. 2 laps to go in this race. Can Lewis Hull make any recovery positions and just recover any points that were amiss? Of course, Lewis Hull crashing now means this is a battle for the podium position, with Matthew Thomas ahead of this lot, ahead of Bradley Curtis in 3rd place, as Byron Johnson sits a 55.4 at the front.
That's
so
really good.
Last lap time for our leader Byron Johnson, the number 37.
Yeah, he has been absolutely peerless, bringing the bike going faster and faster throughout this race. He's obviously unlocked something, Byron Johnson, so far in this lap. We're on the final lap now. Taylor Tomlinson, Matthew Thomas, and Bradley Curtis, your top 4.
Yeah, that was the top 4, and there's your top man, Byron Johnson, the 55.4 last lap. Will he be able to be at this lap? Because he looks like he's not slowing down at all. He's clearly pushing there. You can see the front end protesting as he went into that corner, but a very, very tight section. What can Byron Johnson do? Well, what he will do is he'll take the race win. He'll follow in his brother's footsteps and win the LC40 Elite race. Byron Johnson takes the race win and sets a great final lap and a great distance between 2nd place at the line. Taylor Tomlinson crosses the line with an 8.2 second gap. There is Sam Gardner defending from Ollie Sims. Ollie Sims has really lost out here, and Lewis Hull makes it up to 4th position at the line. An incredible last lap, making up 3 positions.
Yeah, what must have happened off camera there for Lewis Hull, who managed to regain all those places, but what could have been, I think he could have been battling for the win here if he just dialed it back that tiny bit. But this race all about Byron Johnson, Lewis.
Yeah, Byron Johnson taking the race win. 8.2 seconds separates himself and Taylor Thompson and Matthew Thomas on the podium. So a great podium. 3 greatly experienced riders at such a young age for the LC40 Elite class. So what will we see? Of course, these guys will be back tomorrow for round 2, but that is the end of their round 1. Of course, it's a double round here at FAB, but what a great ride that was from Byron Johnson, winning the race by 8.2 seconds. Matthew Thomas will come home in 3rd place with Taylor Thompson ahead of them. Lewis Hull recovers all the way to 4th position with Bradley Curtis just behind. Sam Gardner finishes in 6th with Ollie Sims, Harrison Day, Sebastian Gislowski and Nicholas Dunwoody rounding out our top 10. So a great race there, a great ride from Byron Johnson. I think the whole grid's wondering, what can they do to catch him up?
They've got to go away, do some homework, figure out what they've got to do. But that's the end of their Sunday for these riders, and they'll be back tomorrow. At least those of them that don't have to go to school, I imagine, will be back tomorrow. So we'll see some more of them, and hopefully we'll get some more competition right at the very top of the order.